Coming up next, we're going to break down Portugal as well as preview Spain. Also, Christian Horner is upset at Formula One. We'll explain this next. Welcome into the F1 starting grid. I am your host, Brock Young, with the Mike Allen and Chaz Day, welcoming you to a very unique insight into Formula One. We have Portugal in the books, Spain next. Guys, what do you think about that race in short?
Yeah, baby.
Well, Chaz liked it. I thought that I was watching a race from like 2019. I forgot, I had to go back and check my DVR and make sure I was on the right race because, oh my God.
Boy, Mike, you like making those DVR jokes.
Well, I get off work at 6 a.m. So I record it. But then, when I wake up the same day as the race, I watch it.
Well, how many times you watch it this
Is that a Chaz joke?
Yeah, it's a Chaz joke. Yeah.
Well, how many times you watch it this go around? Twice again?
No, I just watched it the one time, but I like the whole experience. So I get off at 6 a.m. I get home around 7. The race is already kind of starting. I'm not in any, I'm beat, so I'm not going to try to stay awake. But I like to watch the pre-show and the whole thing and just the whole experience. And
I love that.
So, yeah, but I can't wait to watch it. I just need to get some sleep so I can stay awake. I don't want to fall asleep during it. And this was a snoozer of a race. I mean, there was no real big accidents. Not that I wish accidents, but there's nothing really to throw off anybody, off the pace. I think everybody finished, didn't they? Or maybe one person didn't finish.
Kimi
Raikkonen didn't finish, but it was a mechanical issue. It wasn't anything, too out of the ordinary. And then at the end of the race, it was Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas. I mean, it's and at the bottom of the rack, you had Haas and Williams. I mean, it just played out with everybody else spread out through the middle, and it wasn't anything surprising. It was just kind of what we've come to expect. And I was hoping for more. I was hoping some of the Yuki didn't finish in the points. I believe. I think he's not in the points.
Right.
And fell way back. And the Williams cars did horrible, which I really thought they were going to do better, especially the hard charge that Russell had the last race. I figured they'd at least be in the points or close to the points again, and he was what is that, a fifth of a second out of getting in the top 10 in qualifying. So it was just disappointing that it just kind of fell into place. Ferrari's in the middle. Alpine's fighting for points. Seb is getting squeezed out at the last minute for 10th place. It just all kind of played out. And then when everything fell in line for like the last 5 laps, I'm like, oh, there you go.
Well, there was some excitement in the last few laps with going for the extra point. Mm-hmm. That was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of surprising there that Max going into the pits for the second last lap for that fastest lap, and we'll get into that here in a minute with that.
Well, they took it away from him.
Yeah, the Christian Horner story. Yeah, we're going to get into that here in a minute. But first, I'm going to run off, as you said, Mike, who actually won the race. It was Lewis at number 1. Max followed with 29 seconds behind him, and Valtteri, then Sergio. So we have Mercedes, Red Bull, then followed by Lando Norris, followed by Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari. 2 Alpines finished back-to-back. We have Daniel Ricciardo in 9th in the McLaren. Pierre Gasly finished in points in AlphaTauri. We have Carlos Sainz just finished outside of points with the Ferrari. Then the Alfa Romeo of Antonio Giovinazzi. Then Sebastian Vettel in number 13, followed by the other Aston Martin Lance Stroll, 14. Yuki finished 15th. George Russell in 16th. Mick Schumacher beat out the other Williams of Nicholas Latifi in 17th and 18th. Then Mazepin finished in 19th. And as you pointed out, Mike, the only one that did not finish is Kimi Raikkonen, running into his own teammate there, Giovinazzi, middle part of the race there. But in the standings right now, For the drivers, Lewis is leading Max by 8 points with 69 to 61, then followed by Lando, 37, then Valtteri, Charles, Sergio, number 6, Daniel at number 7. At number 8 is Carlos Sainz, then Esteban Ocon at number 9, Pierre Gasly at number 10, Lance Stroll at 11th, uh, Alonso 12th, 13th. We have Yuki, 14th, Kimi, 15th, Giovinazzi, 16th, Vettel, 17th, Russell, 18th, Schumacher, and bottom out that is Mazepin and Latifi at 19 and 20. Constructors, Mercedes, number 1, of course, leading Red Bull by 18 points, 101 to 83. Then McLaren comes in 53 points, Ferrari at 42 points, Alpine at 13 points, AlphaTauri at 9, Aston Martin at 5, then Alfa Romeo, Williams, and Haas has 0 points. Now, as far as our points, are you ready, Chaz? Hold on, let me lick my lips here for a second. Chaz has taken the lead with 128 points, followed by Mike with 84. Then I came still in third with 64 points. Chaz, you got the entire podium right. You did not get Gasly, though. You said top P6. He finished 10th. Mike, I'm sorry, you're big goose egg on that one, man. You didn't get 1 point on that one.
Not one.
I didn't get any of the.
I should get a point for one of the guys I picked being on the podium at least. It should be like a consolatory 10 points or something. At least I got one of the guys that I picked was.
Well, I got 2 of the guys. I got Max and Lewis and Sergio. I got 2 of the 3, but
Yeah, you should give yourself points for that.
Give yourself 12 points for that. Who cares? It's just points.
I'm just saying. I feel sad.
It's only the 3rd race of the season.
I know. Long season.
And funny about that, I know this is only the 3rd race of the season, but so far, who finished on pole, we had a different winner for each race.
Yeah.
So far, normally you see like whoever's winner of the pole, there's a good chance they'll finish right on top of the podium, but not this go around. But another aspect is pit stopping. And Chaz, to your point last week of both y'all said whoever wins out on the tires will win out on the race. And so far, even though Max did go in for the last pit stop, he had 4 pit stops with Valtteri with 4 as well. Lewis only had 3 pit stops. And normally for a track, they have in between 1 to 2 pit stops. So Chaz, I think that's Lewis had the better of the managing of the tires on this track compared to last time in Imola.
It seemed that way. I think it got real interesting when it comes to I think the most interesting thing about the tires this time really came down to Checo, to be honest. The way they were leaving him out there, I think the strategy from what we were speculating while we were watching the race, I think the strategy was to leave him out there on some trash mediums. Or no, was he on softs?
I'm not too sure.
Yeah, Sergio?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he was on the mediums, but he'd been out there for a while. So
he was out there for a long while.
Yeah.
So I think the strategy was to leave him out there so that he was still out in front, but when Lewis caught him, that he would just slow him down. I think that's why they left him out there for so long, because we were laughing while we were watching it because they told him over the radio, plan F plus 10. So basically, normally you see them have like plan B or plan C. They were all the way at plan F, and they were adding 10 laps to it, apparently. So that sounds like a disaster for the Red Bull team. But it just didn't seem like their plan really paid out, because when Lewis went to go around Checo, Checo didn't even try to block. He didn't even take his one move to try to block him. He just zipped right past him. So he kind of wasted that opportunity. All that build up and leaving him out there kind of for nothing. So from a tire standpoint or strategy standpoint, I'm not sure what Red Bull was thinking or what they were trying to do, but obviously they tried to, get the extra point at the end, but that didn't work out either. So it was just kind of a goose egg day. Well, not a goose egg. They got a second place finish.
You got a second and a fourth place. So
yeah. Not an awful day. But there were definitely drivers and constructors that had worse days.
Yeah. And they're said before, they're just Mercedes is leading in the points by 18. So it is relatively feasible that Red Bull could come back with one or two races to take the lead. But Mike, you were saying this off camera here right before the show here, that this race almost like reminds you of old, just from last season, Lewis.
2019 at least.
Yeah.
It was Hamilton every single week.
Yeah.
And then last year, the only races Hamilton lost is when he was penalized or he wrecked. If he was in the race and nothing happened, he was in front. So
when he was wrecked, how would you know he was erect?
If he wrecked, you got to have a better connection down there.
Oh,
they don't have gear shifts, so there's no mistaking anymore. They got the paddles, so
maybe he thought it was a flappy paddle.
Maybe. And I was disappointed because I want to see other names and I want to see other drivers, but you have to kind of sit back. You have to sit back and enjoy the moment, because just like in any other sport, when you have somebody of that magnitude and of that talent, that's where he is today, which is the absolute best there ever has been. You have to kind of enjoy the ride, because it's not gonna be around. We're not going to live through this again.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have other good drivers, but it took for Hamilton to come in when he did and have the success that he's had and just be in the right place at the right time with his skill. You can't even hate him anymore. You just kind of have to enjoy the historical moment of it. And if he does get his 8th, there's not anybody even close that's even on the track to get 8. And 8 is unreal. It's unbelievable in F1.
Well, there's a story that came out this past week where he actually tested the new tires for 2022. They're coming on the car for 2022. Lewis loves them, and he said he looks forward to working with those new tires next year.
I mean, that's it. We can all speculate, but he's said many times, if he wins the championship this year, what else has he got to do? I mean, he's got the most poles, he's got the most wins, he's got the most races on podium. If he wins the world championship, he'll have the most world championships. What else is there? What else is there to do? At this point, you're just. I mean, it's up to him. He's the GOAT, so he can stay around as long as he wants. But
Well, like with other goats, they may have like the fever of staying in there. Just they
sure,
continue to keep on doing it. But
I mean, does Tampa Bay have a team? I don't know. Does they?
I don't know. I mean,
maybe they could take over Alpine or Haas. Yeah. Maybe take that challenge. Let me see how great I really am. I'll go over to Haas for 1 year and see what I can do.
Well,
as that he likes Miami, so living in America doesn't seem to be outside of the realm of possibility.
And he's getting into the music business too, and he's creating music and that kind of stuff. And that's
he has other interests.
I mean, that was a joke about Tampa Bay, like Tom Brady went to Tampa Bay.
Yeah. At least I got it there, Mike. But
and you know what? That would be cool, though. That would be cool. Let's think about this for a minute. He's done everything. He's had the best cars. He's had the best setups. He's had the best everything, and he's a great driver. And he'll be an 8-time world champion. That would be a great challenge for him to go over to Haas or Williams as a driver. Not only would it boost those teams up, the money will come in because he'll bring the money with him. But wouldn't that be cool if he could take one of those teams and just see how good he really is? I mean, let's put you in a junk car and see what happens. And
Well,
then if he starts winning, go ahead, Chaz.
Well, the only thing about a scenario like that is everybody wins except for him, and both literally and figuratively, right? So, like, obviously he won't be able to win in that car, but like he'll raise up the sport because he'll be in an American team. He'll raise up that particular team, but as far as the history books go, we don't give a crap like what the circumstances were. Like, I mean, it's the whole point of The Last Dance was because even people who were alive then forgot the circumstances, or at least like all the details. Like we don't really care about the circumstances. We just care about the end result. And so even if the team is stacked and, he's got all the advantages in the world, if he goes to Haas and just starts losing, nobody's going to remember. Everyone's just going to be like, oh yeah,
on that point though, what was Joe Montana's record in Kansas City? Nobody knows.
Well, we're comparing apples and oranges right there.
How did Michael Jordan do with the Wizards? Nobody cares. They all still remember the 6 championships with the Bulls. So, if Hamilton goes to the Haas, he's not going to come in dead last. He's going to raise the standard of the whole team, which means that they're going to put a better product out there. So he might be mid-range, but I don't think that would ruin his legacy.
He's the only one who loses because, like you said, no one talks about Jordan's time at the Wizards because it didn't matter. Like maybe it was for him, or maybe it built up the organization. But like if you would have gone to Chicago and won a couple more championships, we would have talked about the fact that he came back 2 times and won more championships.
That's true. Yeah.
Well, also to the point there, Chaz, you mentioned this either last week or the week before. Toto Wolff is better at his job than Lewis is at his. So Lewis, if he leaves Williams to go leaves Mercedes to go with Haas there, he's losing Toto Wolff and gaining Gunta.
Yeah, that.
So
a better scenario would be him and Russell swapping seats because at least he'll still be with Mercedes.
Now that's a good question.
I just picked Haas because they sucked, but Williams sucks too. And I think it would be, to think about it, Williams would be a better choice because of the history of the Williams team. Haas doesn't have a real history. Haas came in, early 2000s?
No, Haas came in 2016.
90s? 16?
15,
Well, yeah,
16.
they're new. Williams has been around since the 60s, late 60s, early 70s. And they were killing it for decades. It was Williams. It was Williams and Ferrari that were battling it out. When Williams had BMW as their power plant, they were killing it. They were they were it. And Williams was it. So that would be cooler to have that history. I could see a Russell Hamilton switch there, maybe.
And to the point, Mike, I understand like certain teams you build up to like the top tier team, like in case with Alfa Romeo / Sauber to go to Ferrari. In this case is Williams to Mercedes. But honestly, I understand that, but I don't like that because it kind of tarnishes Williams' legacy a little bit. Now you're looking at Williams as almost like a second-tier team to get to Mercedes.
Mm-hmm. Well, they've been a second-tier team for years now.
But as you pointed out, Williams has the history.
Yeah.
Maybe they go back to BMW. I don't know.
Well, Williams won't be down forever. I mean, it runs the cycles, and they've had their lean years back in the day too, but they just need to. I think with the new rules, it's going to force a little more parity. I mean, just as a hypothetical, I think it would be cool to have someone with the status of Hamilton, go to Williams, because just him walking in the building is going to make everybody better. It's going to make people work harder. It's going to, the engineers probably will take a different attitude, because these cars are crap. I don't understand why you'd put money, Haas is like, oh, we're just going to write this year out. Why are you throwing money away?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not going to go out there and win, what are you doing?
Well, that's a good point, Mike, because that actually is why I don't think that he ever would go to a bad team, is because if he wants to win, right? Like he enjoys the sport. After he wins 8 championships, you just said he has nothing else to prove, right? So if he did go back out, he would be going out for fun because he enjoys racing. No one enjoys losing, right? So going to a bad team would suck out all the enjoyment that he does have from racing.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I just thought of it from a challenge standpoint. Maybe he wouldn't want.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
He would have to take control of that team in a way.
Well, yeah.
Something like to Williams, like, no.
That would be interesting. Because that's actually what happened with Jordan. So Jordan, when he went to the Wizards, to kind of bring it full circle, he got part ownership of the team. Now that would be really interesting, and I think that is something that Lewis might be into.
Yes.
And in the scenario that I always compare it to is, Tom Brady went to a crap NFL football team. I mean, they were 6 and whatever they were the year before he showed up, but him walking in the building made that team better. Mm-hmm. And then, just throughout the year, he's the one that he was the catalyst. So you have Sir Hamilton walk into the building and say, I'm here now. No one's going to call in half a day. They're not going to, we'll fix this car next race. The standard, everybody is going to raise their standard, which unfortunately is sad, because they should be at that level right now anyway. But, people that walk in there, especially with his winning attitude and just the fact that he doesn't accept anything but excellence, that would raise everybody. Now, will it happen? It probably will not happen. I think, Chaz, you're right. He's not going to, I think he's going to, if he does stick around, he'll stay with Mercedes and he'll go get number 9. I just thought it would be kind of cool to see if he really want to challenge himself and say, if I'm the best, then I can make a team the best. And sticking with, I wouldn't go to Haas. I mean, you could drive backwards in a Mercedes car and beat Haas. So,
in fact, Lewis did in Imola in a way.
He did. So I don't know. I just think it would be cool. I doubt it's going to happen, but it would be.
If he had gone to Renault the way that Ricardo had gone to Renault, where would Renault be right now?
Well, like I said, he brings everything around him up. So, they would definitely pour more money into whatever they're doing, or they take a little more serious.
It might be, if he went to Renault, it might be a legitimately a 3 constructor battle between Mercedes, Red Bull, and Renault.
And Renault, and there was
Mercedes would drop down and Renault would step up.
Yeah.
And then Red Bull's right there
in the middle of it all. Yeah. I mean, there was a time when Renault they were killing it. They were winning the constructors challenges and constructors championships. So I think just Mercedes is on a hot run right now since 2015 or 2016. They're on a hot run. So
since 2014.
14. Yeah, 14. Yeah, because Lewis has pretty much won it every year since then.
This poster behind me is from 2012 or 13, and it has the old V8s in them. And I'm not too sure about the track, but you see, and to your point several weeks ago, Chaz, Lotus's Renaults on there, and I missed that. I miss that hitch. You know what I miss? I miss most of all? Jordan. I wish they bring back Jordan, but it's now officially Aston Martin. But
Yeah.
um,
You know who I'm waiting to see?
Hmm.
Terrell Ford.
might be waiting a
They,
good
they
minute on
won't,
that
they
one.
won't bring back their six-wheeled cars, but God dang it, that was a fun team to watch.
That was nice. That was nice. Yeah. Before we move on to this other story, let's talk about Williams here for a second, Mike. You had George Russell in points before he got in a wreck in Imola.
Yep.
What happened this race, in your opinion?
I think that I just think his car didn't keep up. I think George pushes that car as hard as he can, and the car just didn't. The tire, it just didn't keep up. It lost pace. And they mentioned it during the race briefly, and they had a little radio contact. And it's like, I got no power. I got nothing. I don't know what's going on. So maybe they made some changes that they thought were going to be good, and they weren't. That didn't improve the car, but made it worse. But you go from fighting for points to barely being in the bottom four. When you're fighting for position with a Haas car a lap down, I mean, that's not a good place to be.
It is not. It's really not.
I was very disappointed. I was sad
Yeah,
because even in qualifying, he was half a second out of the top 10 for like the second race in a row, and he was fighting to get into the P3. The third round of qualifying, Q3. So, something good is happening. It just needs to come together.
they need to be more consistent. Not in a bad way, but bring what they were trying to get in Imola. Like they were P9 before they got in a wreck. Then, as you pointed out, Mike, a good qualifying. If you could find those winning strategies consistently, then yes, he'll finish in the points, and your prediction will be correct, at least one of them.
I'm gonna keep the faith. I'm a Williams guy, so it's way back in the day. I'm glad their color scheme is close to what it used to be with the.
I call it the blue zebra.
Yeah,
I think the car looks good. Seeing it on track the other day, I actually said out loud that it looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's a nice livery.
I mean, keeping the faith, so to speak. I mean, my first thought is why bother? But whatever. People believe in a lot of things,
It makes it exciting to watch the sport. That's why I picked the picks that I made for the top three. It's not so much, I kind of pick with emotion because that's what I'd like to see. Pierre Gasly needs a podium. I'd like to see other teams mix it up a little bit, because it makes everybody better when everybody's at the top fighting. So it's just Red Bull and Mercedes every week, Verstappen and Hamilton, which we expect to be. That's going to be the battle throughout the year. But after a while, it's like, God, didn't we just watch this race last time? God dang.
You don't have to confirm or deny, but I'm just going to assume you're a dominatrix guy. I'm just going to assume it.
I'm a dom, but anyway.
Where are we going with this show? No, but
glutton for punishment.
If 2020 proved anything, as I said before, anybody can be on that podium.
If Hamilton wrecks out or doesn't finish.
Well, you look at Monza.
Or gets penalized.
You look at Monza. You look at Monza because Gasly finished first.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you had Perez winning one. You had, I think it was in Bahrain, one of the ones in Bahrain, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible.
Yeah. So go through those races where Gasly and Perez and those guys won, and what happened to Hamilton?
He didn't finish, did he?
One, he didn't finish, and two, he got penalized, 10-second penalized, and he came back from like 14th place all the way back up to like 5th, and I think he got in the podium in one of them. I mean, if you want parity, you're going to have to pop his tires. I mean, it's like if his car's running and he's in the race, there's not anybody except Verstappen that's going to keep up with him. And even that wasn't even the case.
He was complaining about his tires in last race.
Mm-hmm.
Did y'all hear that?
Hamilton?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always. I love it.
Always. And I think that's more for us.
Yeah. But this next story, speak about old Max there. Team principal for Red Bull, Christian Horner, again protested against the way track limits are being governed by the F1 after drivers Max and Sergio again fell foul of their application over at Portugal. Despite setting this best time, they said here, Verstappen was denied the point after running wide in turn 14 on the final lap, exceeding track boundaries and triggering a deletion. Quote, track limits are at a point of contention and conspiracy of their application, Horner told Sky Sports on F1. This championship will come down to the margins and are still at an early stage. We saw Lewis make a howler of a mistake at Imola, but he got away with it. These things happen to Max, but it's driving the wheels off the car and is super, super tight between them. So Horner's protesting, him losing that extra point. Now, it's just a point, but, it may come down to a point.
Yeah, and I watched his lap to get the fastest, and he wasn't going anywhere on that track, and everybody else wasn't going. So I don't see the issue there. I mean, that corner, everybody was taking it wide.
Yeah,
everybody.
They didn't call it the whole race, Mike.
They didn't call it. I know they didn't call it
the whole race.
They didn't call it no one else was getting penalized for it. No one else was getting dinged, 5 seconds or whatever the thing was. And then all of a sudden Max puts in the fastest lap and now it's an issue. And I agree. I think it's, the history of F1 I can't put it past somebody behind the scenes manipulating that. Because and I'd have to go back. I think Bottas ended up getting the fastest lap. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we'd have to watch his lap and see if he took the same line. And if he did, then the whole thing's bullshit.
Yeah, clearly he didn't. But I think it definitely. I agree with you. I think it is bullshit because they just did not call lap 14 the entire race. Like they didn't call it. So to call it at the end, track limits at the end is just what do you do? It's just flat out unfair.
Well,
and one of the most painful. I'm sorry, Brock. One of the most painful moments in this weekend is when Verstappen came up for the post-race interview.
He didn't know,
and was like, "Yeah, well, we got the fastest lap," and then the reporter's like, "Well, no, you didn't." And just that look, he pulled his mask up, and you could I know Verstappen in his head, he's like, "What in the hell do you mean I didn't make it?" And it took him by surprise, and he cut the interview short. And that was an uncomfortable moment for me.
Well,
that was painful.
So, Chaz, if you were Christian Horner, would you take it to the FIA?
Absolutely. Not only would I take it to him, I would because it's super simple. Like it's an easy case to make, right? Like you go back, you look at all the other drivers, you watch them exceed the track limits, and then you just say, "Hey, look, we didn't get any warning. We didn't get any warning the way that we did in race 1 when everybody was exceeding track limits going over on turn 4. They gave them a warning first. They actually gave multiple warnings and said, "Hey, look, if you keep doing this, we're gonna penalize you." And this wasn't just a penalty. This wasn't just like a time penalty. This was directly a point penalty because that was at stake in a race or a season, I should say, that's going to be as close as this one is. That's actual bullshit, man. Like that's a big loss to take.
It's like going the whole game, but calling a holding penalty on the last play of the game that decides the game. I mean, you just don't call a track violation on I'm with Chaz. You gotta call it fair and you gotta call it consistent. And if that's the case, you got to warn people in a 61 lap race, you've got 60 laps to tell people, they're going to get penalized if they exceed track limits. You don't just let it go until the one lap that's going to count for the championship and then take it away. And then not even tell them until, tell everybody else and not tell him. He's walking up there thinking he's got the point.
So now we're going to move on to Spain here. We talk about the track just for a second. The first Grand Prix was back in 1991. It has 16 corners. It will have 66 laps. The current circuit length is 4.6 kilometers. Race distance is 308 kilometers. And Lewis Hamilton has been pretty dominant on this track. Now, also, to back up a little bit, they normally have practice at this track in Catalina. However, due to the coronavirus, they moved it to Bahrain this past season. So not too many people like this track. I like this track. It has some history to it. So last year was Lewis Hamilton winning the race pretty much by the same margin as this past week in Portugal, with Lewis, Max, and Valtteri finish out the top of the podium. So, Chaz, do you see this again as your picks this week, or you have something else in mind?
Well, I'm really, last race I called it Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas, just because Bottas is in a Mercedes. He can only be terrible for so long in a machine that good. Mm-hmm. So I knew he'd come back, but he's not as good as Max, even in an inferior machine. Here's the deal, though. I'm super bullish on Verstappen this season, man. I really think that he's going to pull out all the tricks, and I think that he has a machine that's capable of keeping up with him. So I actually have Verstappen winning next race. I'll have to. I think this would be a little bit more informed if I actually took a look at the track, just to kind of get a better idea, because Mercedes, I think, still has the advantage in the turns, and Red Bull seems to have an advantage in like flat out speed. Like they've just been pretty fast. But I'm going to go Verstappen and Hamilton, and I still feel like somehow Bottas is going to figure out how to F it up. So I'm going to have Checo coming in third.
So you got the same lineup as last week?
No, he has my picks now.
No, it's different.
That's my picks, basically.
You have Verstappen,
followed by Lewis, then Sergio.
And Sergio Perez?
Wow. Okay. So, Chaz, what is your extra prediction for this coming up week?
I think Bottas will come in 8th. Let me say 5th. I'll say 5th.
Okay. Will he get in a confrontation with Russell again? No. Okay.
Embarrassing. What a shame.
Yeah. Mike, how about you? Who's going to be on the podium for you?
I think it's Hamilton's to lose. I think it's going to be Hamilton. Verstappen's going to be right there. I don't know, man. I think Bottas found his groove. I think there's going to be no change. Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas. I know it's a weak pick. It's a safe pick, but Hamilton does well in this Grand Prix. He does well on the course. He does well controlling the speed of the people behind him. If he's on pole or P2, he's going to get out ahead, and there's not going to be much that's going to keep him in check. And Verstappen, he's better than Bottas.
Yeah,
but I think Bottas has a better machine than everybody else. And I think Chaz did it right. I mean, you can't be too bad with a machine that good. So I think it's just going to line up the same way. Hamilton will get his third. Verstappen will win a race, but it won't be this one.
What would be your extra prediction?
George Russell in the points. I'm hanging tough, man. That's got to happen for that kid. You know, I mean, the car's not, except for the last part of this race, the car really isn't that bad. I mean, he's almost in Q3. If he makes it into Q3, he'll be in the points. So if he misses it out by less than a second again, he'll be in the points.
Okay. I think it's a possibility, you know. The track is not quite the similar, but it's almost on the similar pace as Portugal. Almost has the same frame, but
Mike, based on that pick, I think you want these points about as much as that car is capable of getting those points. Not very much.
wow. Okay.
Damn.
We already have some trash talk, and it's the beginning of the season, folks. Beginning of the season. Awesome. So, since Chaz, you took my picks, I cannot bet on black this go around, so I'm not going to die on this hill. I'm going to die on a new hill. I'm going to go with Max, number 1. Lewis, number 2. And I'm going to go throw a little curveball in there. I'm going to put Lando at number 3.
Ooh.
So we'll see about that. And my extra pick was that?
That would be awesome.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And my extra pick will be Charles will finish higher than Daniel Ricciardo in this race.
Leclerc? Yeah.
Yep. It has happened the last 3 races. I think that's a safe 20 points for me. So let's hope so.
Oh, so what's your order again?
Max, Lewis, then Lando.
Okay. And what's Lewis's history at this track?
He has been very good at this track. I want to say he won last year. Let me see if he won the year before.
I was trying to look that up real quick, but I think I remember that he wins on this track pretty regular.
Uh, 2019, it was Lewis, followed by Bottas and Verstappen. And let me just check one more year in this 18.
So he won in 2019, 2020.
And 2018 as well.
Okay. I'm going to change my order. I'm going with Lewis.
No, you can't.
It's already out there, man.
I'm going with Lewis.
You signed it in blood. This is bullshit.
Going with Lewis.
I'm getting with the FIA right now. This is bullshit.
Lewis won Verstappen and Checo at 2 and 3.
Oh, you caved. You caved.
I
Mike,
mean,
Mike, can we allow that? Can we allow that, or is it already?
We'll have to take it to the track officials, man. I don't know if that could be allowed. We'll have to.
Hey, are we still recording?
Yes, we are.
We're still recording.
A guy is allowed to change his mind.
The only person who's won more in the Spanish Grand Prix was Schumacher. Lewis won it in 14, 17, 18, 19, and 20.
Sounds about right. Hey, if my ex-wife can change her mind, surely I can change mine. No, I'm just kidding. I don't even have an ex-wife.
I was about to say, I didn't know you were married.
I wasn't. But it's a funny thing to say.
You know what? Me and Toto Wolff are going to put in our formal complaint to the FIA.
Poor FIA. They have so many complaints right now.
That has to be a track limit violation in there somewhere.
Yeah, I think so. I think Kristen Horn's there with you there, Mike. So it'll be interesting to see. So Spain is this weekend, and after that, a couple weeks after that, will be the historic Monte Carlo race. So we're getting back-to-back races here. We'd like to see. But we'll move on to the Twitter question of the week, which was, who will win the championship first? Will it be Schumacher or will it be Tsunoda? With an overwhelming 67%, you guys said it will be Mick that will win it first.
Not in Haas.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It was Sonoda. I'm sorry. Sonoda will win it first.
Maybe if Mick goes to Ferrari or something.
Yeah.
But what was the percentage?
67 to
43.
yeah, 67 to 37.
Oh, 33.
33.
Yeah, that Yuki will get it, or
Yeah,
Mick?
Yuki. I'm sorry, I messed
Yeah.
up on that. So Yuki will get that. Now there's a nice quote from Vandam Formula One. He's on Twitter at Vandam F1. You can follow him there, and he says, "I think it'll be close, a three-way race between Schumacher at Ferrari, Tsunoda at Red Bull, and an already championship-winning Russell at Mercedes. Expecting this battle around 2027, 2028. Now, the only thing is, I would love that, but I think it's going to be even sooner than that.
Well, it all depends on Sir Lewis. I mean, if he calls it a career after this year, then it'll happen quicker. But Mick's got to get out of Haas. He's got to go to a better team.
Well, Schumacher's there until like 2023 with Haas.
Well, yeah, but all that changes. I mean,
Yeah,
you can't.
that's what I'm saying. It won't be. It won't be next season, but it'll probably be like 2024, 2025.
Oh, but it'll start next season. Russell's got to get the seat at Mercedes. That's going to kick all this off.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this assumes though that one of them is going to win a championship.
Yeah, I believe that. They have the talent to do so. They just got to get in the right team and the right car.
Bro, it's going to be a long time out to lunch waiting for, like, in the Verstappen Leclerc era.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys are badass. I mean, think about how many people deserve to be be a world champion right now. Like today.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And they just aren't because of Hamilton. So for as long as Hamilton will be here, it'll be the same with those guys. I don't think that they're world championship drivers, not because they're not as good as anyone, as far as like being world champion, but I just think they're not good enough to also be on a top team and be better than the best drivers out there, right? Like they're not better than Verstappen, and I don't think they'll be better than Leclerc. And
yeah, Verstappen's only 24, so he's young. He's a young driver, so he's going to be around for a long time. And I think you're right. He's going to be the old dog that Russell's only a couple years behind him. So it might be a Verstappen-Russell battle if Russell can get to Mercedes.
I think it's their era. Yeah.
Well, if it wasn't for Lewis and was it 2017, Vettel would have like a fifth championship.
Yeah, they battled it out. That was a good battle.
That was a good battle. Was it 17 or 18?
17.
Yeah, 17.
That was the beginning of the slide for Seb.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's an interesting quote, Twitter question for the week. Now, the new one is, will Formula One go the way of Formula E and become electric? We'll discuss that next week.
Day in motor
we'll
racing.
discuss that next week. But we have one more discussion for this week, and I really want to dive into this. What happened to the German Grand Prix? I mean, past 2 years at the historic Nürburgring, you can't say they're not having races. They're having races. They're having MotoGP there. I mean, it could be an issue of money, as it always is. But what's Formula One without a German Grand Prix? Mercedes at their home race.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean,
politics, maybe. I don't know. I have no idea. That's one of the storied racetracks of all of F1 is Nürburgring, and I wish they'd open up the big course again.
It might be the most popular race course, or the most well-known, I'll say, in the world. Like, I mean, people who aren't even in a race know the Nürburgring, right? Like,
it's got a lot of history and more race. A lot of racers died there. Well-known racers died at Nürburgring. So it was at one point it was the deadliest race course.
I forgot.
I'm gonna have my ashes spread there.
I'll make it happen. No, but I forgot what YouTube channel they said they went to the Nürburgring, and they actually the old course itself is torn off, but you could, like, on the days that they don't have races, you could actually walk it and go to
Yeah,
the very
sections of it are tore up. Yeah,
they go to like the very back part of it where it was
yeah.
where the big turns were and stuff like that. And um, so yeah, I think the most of the old part is torn up, but still, I mean, you could still have. I mean, how many? Germany has quite a bit
Well,
of.
the new course at Nürburgring is modern. I don't know why they're not having races there. I mean, it's a modern course. It's modern pavement. They upgraded it. It's safe. They got all the safety runoffs and everything. It's a beautiful course. I don't know why they're not running there. To be honest with you,
Mhm.
I don't know.
So, Chaz, what do you think is your speculation on that? I mean,
I,
F1 without
I,
the German Grand Prix.
well, I think the only thing, because they're making a lot of decisions based on like about tracks in recent years. Well, recent years being like this year included, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've seen them add new races and take away some. It, like Mike said, it has to be politics and it has to be money. That's the only thing that makes sense. I mean, if there's anything that we would bet on more than Mercedes, is that decisions are being made based on money, right? So, yeah, it's got to be money somehow or somewhere. I just don't know. I don't know why exactly. It doesn't make sense. I mean, I also don't know that F1 cares that much about heritage anymore. And I'm not being an asshole or like,
No, they don't.
but I don't know that they care as much about heritage as they do about the future and adopting new fans.
Well, I just brought it up. According to newsabc.net, despite the corona pandemic, the 2021 Formula One wants to drive again increasingly on the tracks that pay a lot of money for the appearance of the Grand Prix sport. Germany cannot and does not want to bid. There will be no German GP in 2021. They just don't want to bid for it.
Well, the point of money, you look at Abu Dhabi, now you look at Saudi Arabia. You just bring in the money. I don't know how Africa felt going to there.
South Africa? Well, I mean, South Africa is not a poor nation.
No, but I mean, I'm sure Germany has more money than South Africa.
Or they just might be having their little fit.
Yeah, that could be it. So, Mike, since Chaz overtook you in the points, you going to treat him to some Dogecoin there?
Treat him to Dogecoin?
Or you want to wait to the end of the season?
I'll give you my.
Right now, how much Dogecoin do you want me to give you?
Well, I think according to what you agreed to last week, everything you got, sucker.
I didn't say everything I got. That ain't happening.
No, he said he would give both of us a couple.
Give you a couple Dogecoin. Well, it's only at 56. You want to wait till it goes up?
It's at 50. It's at 56 right now, right?
Yeah, it's at 56 cents.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take a couple.
Last time I saw it was at 50 cents.
I'll take a couple now, honestly.
I don't know how I'd give them to you.
Okay.
Hey, you show me how to do it, and I'll give you a couple.
All right.
You just got to send it to my wallet. I got you. I'll take care of you. Papa Chaz will take care of you.
So if I overtake you in points again, you going to give them back?
I mean, I didn't agree to it, though. You agreed to the deal.
That's what I'm asking you now. If I overtake you back, are you going to give them back?
No.
I'd never make a deal so dumb.
And what a perfect way to end on. Wow. Okay. Oh God, how do I end on that? But follow us on Twitter, I guess. Check out our new Twitter question: will Formula One go the way of Formula E for electric vehicles and electric engines? Also, if you have a topic for us, please email us. theformofracing@gmail.com. You got something new coming up. We talked a little bit about this week with like the what if type of scenario. We may bring that back. Who knows? So we need some more topics on that as well. So theformofracing@gmail.com. Also, like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment below. Let us know how we're doing. I think that's it. I think we have to say, only thing left to say is we'll see you next time right here.
Arigato.
on the F1 starting grid.